It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
Welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Oh boy, another day of Kevin McCarthy blaming Democrats. Yeah, it's all the Democrats' fault. The Democrats voted to try to bring chaos. Yeah, it's all the Democrats' fault, Kevin. You're in this mess because, yes, it's the Democrats who did this to you. The Democrats did it. And look, that's all they've got, really. That's all they can do right now is blame the Democrats, right? Because there's not much else. They certainly can't blame themselves, can they? Because ultimately they're the ones that are responsible. I mean, it's almost like they're on this weird murder-suicide pact where they can't figure out how to get themselves, functional. And the weird thing is Jim Jordan today got the Republican House Conference nomination. Didn't we just do this? Wasn't this just kind of deja vu-ish? He got 124 votes to Austin Scott's 81 votes, makes him the nominee. Now gets to go possibly, maybe, not even sure if it goes to the floor. Because, look, if he had the 217 he needs, they'd have done it already. It'd have happened. It would have happened already. If they had the 217 votes, it'd be over. They'd be celebrating. They'd be drinking, do whatever it is that they do. But, here's the thing. He's far short of the 217. So, again, it makes this all, just another charade. And look, here's the thing. Even Republicans aren't even showing up for it. Patrick McHenry told members that out of the 221 Republicans, only 209 bothered to show up. The rest of them were out, I don't know, doing podcasts or, I don't know, something. Now, the weird thing is Republicans are in crisis. There's trouble here because they cannot seem to figure out how to fix their problem. And it's the eight who are holding them hostage. And, what's kind of important to understand in this moment about this time, in this moment right now that we're living through, is that the Republicans respect nothing. They respect none of the norms of the past. They respect none of the precedent of the past. None of that. They don't respect election results, and that's new-ish. And the thing is they don't even respect the election results that they control. Now, understand, you had the caucus nod that Scalise got, which normally in normal times you come out of that conference, you have the backing of the majority of the members, and you go, hey, as a functional party, we won, let's move along, let's get some work done, there are things we can do. That used to mean something. That used to get things done. Not now. You've got a handful of people who are literally holding the country hostage. And I was thinking about this today. Think of how the Republicans have normalized chaos. Think about in the Trump era. Now look, they've always been the party of no, they've always been the party of gridlock and delay, but they've always done it within the the parameters of governmental norms. Now you got no, we're burning things down. We're going to overrun the Capitol and defecate on your floor. this is a weird moment we're in. Because, you hear about government being about compromise and working together and, for the common good and, all those high-minded things. How do you, if you're the Democrats, how do you compromise with people who can't even compromise with themselves? They won't even compromise with people that they agree with. They agree with each other on 99% of things and yet still can't get to yes. And look, I hope it hurts them. I hope they get their just rewards out of this. I hope they get what they've earned, which is a permanent minority status, which is shown the door come next November, which is the end of their reign of terror, if you will. Because again, what have they accomplished? They go, but they only have a slim majority. They've only got 221 votes. Yeah, Hillary, Nancy Pelosi had a smaller margin, got things done, didn't have dysfunction. Because here's the thing: you have people on the Democratic side who believe in government, who believe that we should be doing things to make people's lives better. We should be doing things to improve our country's infrastructure, to improve the future of humanity, if you will. But on the other side, you've got bomb throwers and destroyers. And that's a problem. And this is one of those things that's really frustrating and angering. Now, you say, are they going to get what they earn and what they deserve? What it appears, the fundraisers don't happy. The fundraisers are not pleased. The moneyed interests certainly not pleased, because they're kind of pulling back. Evidently, they don't know who to buy. This is the weird part. The moneyed interests don't know which person to buy. Who on the list? Who's going to be the leader and whose coffers do you fill? Now, Scalise, I kind of understood because he does have some fundraising ability. And, with his baggage, although, in some circles, his I'm David Duke without the baggage is a positive. He could have brought money in, but not now. McCarthy, his well has dried up. And you're going to go to Jim Jordan, one of the most unlikable people in Congress, to be your fundraiser? Because understand, being speaker is about more than just slamming the gavel on the table and yelling and screaming. It's about leadership. It's about vision. It's about actually getting things done. It's about bringing people together. And oh, by the way, it's about fundraising. So what you've got now is, and this could help Democrats down the road. You've got the Republican money machine going, help. And look, if you're a rich guy, do you want to get involved in any of this? I gotta think not so much. But I got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. I got to tell you, this is insane, and it's sucking all of the oxygen out of the room. It's sucking all of the energy out of the room when there are horrible things going on around the world, and there's some really good things going on here at home. And I look at Sean Fain's speech today about going, hey, we in the working class, we're going to take on the moneyed interests. We're going to take on big corporations, and we're going to fight for a better standard of living. See, this is where I want to spend my time. This is what we should be doing. At some point, I got to wonder, when do we finally realize that Republicans have broken our government? And we got to take it back. I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Lots to get to. Quick break. Right back after this.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And after years of politicians talking about it, they finally passed a big new infrastructure package to rebuild roads and bridges, fix drinking water systems, and make the energy grid more secure. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
I took 2 years of electric in high school, and I was the only girl in the class there. Here, I'm the only girl as far as installers go. I'm a single mom, too. I joined the union because it gave me options for health care and life insurance so that I know my son's taken care of. I like what I do. Like, this is the best job I've ever had. You think solar panels is more like California. You wouldn't think Appalachia would have any. It would be smart if the government would invest more in clean energy resources.
Absolutely amazing where we are. Just mind-blowing. Let's quick go to the phones. We've got Kurt from Akron on line one. Kurt, how you doing today?
Hey, good evening, and I haven't talked to you in 11 billion years.
What's in your mind?
Well, hey, first of all, $2.85 a gallon for gas in Akron, Ohio tonight.
Not bad. I wish I
Not bad
lived
at
there.
Well, you know, there's a house for sale down the street. But anywho, why does it seem like 25 years ago, we're reliving a Groundhog's Day of 25 years ago in the House of Representatives? You remember when Bill Clinton was being impeached and Newt Gingrich had to resign in disgrace after the midterm election, and then they're doing the impeachment vote, and Bob Livingston was the next one in line to become the Speaker of the House, and he resigns in disgrace before he's even voted on because he had an affair with some woman other than his wife.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting Denny Hastert.
Yeah, and if only we would have found out he was a kid toucher, and he would have gotten ousted.
Exactly, but see, this is what I'm saying is we don't have McCarthy anymore. Scalise resigns for whatever reason. Marjorie Trader Green says it's because he has blood cancer, which that could be the case. And we end up with another guy who is a wrestling coach who covered up for child molestation. So why is it we're having Groundhog's Day in the House of Representatives 25 years later?
Well, I mean, it is the Republican Party. Good point.
Exactly. Oh, and then also, you were talking about the moneyed interest. Remember, Donald Trump ain't going to give any money to those guys because Donald Trump doesn't spend money on anybody but himself, and he doesn't even spend it on himself. He just kind of hoards it.
Yep.
Because if he wasn't rich, he'd be hoarding garbage.
Well, that's why they weren't going to make him speaker, and I thought that from the beginning because that job is all about raising money. But I appreciate the call, Kurt. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's go to Steve on line 2. Steve, how we doing today? What's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I mean, I share your view with regard to what's going on in the Republican Party. Yeah, I mean, it's like a bunch of children who decided, you know, okay, well, we don't like the class president, and we're going to oust him. We have no plan for what comes after that because we don't have anybody else who could possibly get elected to the position. But, hey, you know, we'll oust him because we can. Because like a bunch of children, you know, we didn't get everything that we wanted on some menu that we had going into this process. Because, you know, in a functional democracy, in our system of government, you know, you don't get everything you want. Why? Because you don't control everything in government. And you certainly don't control the White House, and the president has the capacity to veto what things that are passed in the Congress. And there's a lot of people who voted for the other party. You know, it's not as if you've got a supermajority in your House. So, and the speaker that you did have just barely squeaked by a victory after 15 ballots. And so basically, whoever runs now has got about 4 or 5 people in their party that they can play with as far as margin of victory. And given the 2 votes that were taken today, what we know about Jim Jordan is the first one, he was down over 80 votes. The second one, about 55 votes. So he's nowhere near that margin to be able to squeeze in for his own party. So I don't know what they think that they're accomplishing here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up with another Speaker McCarthy, or simply the interim Speaker remains Speaker. But from the standpoint of Democrats and other people, they're just sitting back, like you and I, with our legs up, and saying to ourselves, okay, this is a great show, because going into 2024, what are you going to run on as a Republican? Oh, yeah. Wow, look at, we're functional. We're a great party. Look at what we're doing for you in Washington. The people who are actually worried about getting reelected are pulling their hair out, and a number of them have actually come forward to make public statements about how ridiculous this Republican Party is. This is not what you want to do in an election year. You don't want to look like you're ineffective and you can't govern, and that you're doing nothing but infighting. So, and it's not as if you're going to get a bunch of Republicans who are going to vote Democrat, but you can get a lot of independents who will. And the other thing is you can just get Republicans who will stay home, and that's the other headache. So, again, like a bunch of children, there was a time to pull this. This year was not it. And going into November, again, where people seem to forget sometimes that, we just passed a resolution that extended our deadline with regard to the debt ceiling until mid-November. It didn't solve it. And without a speaker, I don't know how that gets solved, quite frankly, and what that means. Does that mean we're more likely to get a shutdown? Or we'll have another continuing resolution, and then perhaps until after the first of the year, we'll try and deal with it again.
Yeah. This is why Democrats have come forth and said, hey, we'll let the temporary speaker, move some big legislation, the big stuff that needs to get done, the really important, eminent stuff, everything else, you can fight over later. But the country needs some functional House of Representative to do the people's work. And this is the Democrats going, we're going to help you in your moment. We're going to save you in your moment of dysfunction. And the Republicans aren't even going to take that, I don't think.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, with everything that's going on in the international community, we already know you've got a divided Republican Party with regard to the war in Ukraine. There are Republicans who actually take the side of the Russians. They don't openly say it, but what they'll do is use coded language in terms of, the United States doesn't need to be giving Ukraine money. We could be spending that money somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. This was the same party that, that claimed that we were fighting the evil empire and there was no expense that was too great a few decades ago. But now, we can't help Ukraine. Why? Because Vladimir Putin is our kind of guy. Just say what you really think. Let's stop acting like it's about anything else.
Yeah.
And now, of course, added to the mix, you've got this conflict in Israel. And for people who don't know it, there are a couple of different sort of factions within the Republican Party. Part of the Republican Party, the people who were in Charleston and, the Save the Right people, I believe that that's what it's referred to.
Unite the Right.
Unite, that's it. Thank you very much. Unite the Right people. Those people are no fans of Israel. But they make up a base of the Republican Party. Those are the people who were there on January 6th. So then you've got another segment of the Republican Party that are sort of these evangelical Christians that actually want to help to fund Israel and give them money and so forth. Not because they love Jews so much. They think end times are coming.
Yep.
Sort of this ridiculous. So this is bringing about another rift in terms of where their party stands. So. Yeah, I don't know where we go here. It's difficult to try and gauge crazy people because if you're not crazy, it's hard to understand the minds of crazy people.
There you go. I appreciate the thought, Steve. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
No, he's absolutely right. Look, in fact, we talked about this the other day. You had that former Ohio legislator, the one, I forget what her name is, Candace Keller, I think her name was, who posted she's happy. The end is near because she's one of these. The rapture's coming, when the Jews start fighting in the war and Jesus is going to come back and just chop people into little bits and the good thems are going to rise up. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of insanity that's been allowed to percolate, through a certain vein of the Republican Party. And then, of course, I asked this as well: how do you have the people who on both sides of their head are anti-Semitic, who are the your Unite the Right folks, the Sieg Heil folks, and yet still, all now, spewing the, hey, we're all Israel. I don't know how you have both those thoughts in your head. I just don't. But here's the thing. I kind of get it, because our media structure is so badly broken. I saw a thing today that said the Epoch Times is now the fourth most subscribed publication in this country, the fourth most subscribed newspaper in America. Its revenue has grown 685% in just 2 years to over $122 million. And you go, Epoch Times? Who runs that? A Chinese religious sect. Yeah, it's the paper's run by Falun Gong, who claims that January 6th is a hoax. Climate change is a hoax. In fact, the first time that I came across the Epoch Times Twitter feed, I thought it was a parody account. I thought it was just a crazier version of the Onion. But no. And this is the thing. You got brainwashing and propaganda of American citizens by a Chinese religious group. That's epic. And look, then you combine that with social media, which is a giant cesspool of lies and propaganda and disinformation at its face. Thank you, Elon Musk, what you've done to Twitter. And we are awash in propaganda and BS and disinformation. And look, I've been on X now, formerly known as Twitter. I've been watching some of the videos supposedly coming out of Gaza, and it's all the most atrocious stuff. Only it's not from there. It's atrocious stuff from the past that we're now just recycling, and it's meant to keep people all riled up and angry and pointed at each other and misinformed. That's the part that's really frustrating and angering, because you want to believe that an informed electorate, an informed citizenry, active, engaged, informed, that we're going to make decisions that are in the best interest of we the people. That's the foundation of what this entire experiment of self-governance is supposedly all about. But what do you do when massive disinformation campaigns are allowed, and not just allowed, but promoted on every level, and you have a mainstream corporate controlled media where virtually everything you see, hear, and read are controlled by 6 corporations seeking profit? What do you do with this? And I go back to that Les Moonves quote. Donald Trump may not be good for democracy, but he's good for our bottom line. Which is why, again, The Hill today puts out a piece on the Trump campaign defends Hezbollah remarks. Quote, smart does not equal good. So they wrote a whole piece defending Trump's comments. Yes, we have a media structure playing both sides of the fence because, hey, we got to prop Trump up because you got to have a Trump-Biden race because that's how you're going to make money. Even though Trump has already flopped. And you don't see Trump back up very often. You do not see Trump retract anything. You never see him apologize. That's the reason his base loves him. He never apologizes. But here's the thing. After saying, Hezbollah is smart, he now says, and went after Netanyahu, he now truthed out, I stand with Israel and I stand with Bibi. He truthed out also, I have always been impressed by the skill and determination of the Israeli Defense Forces as they defend their nation against ruthless terrorists. I want to wish every soldier the best of luck. May you return home safely to your families, and may God bless all of you. That is a giant about face. I know he's on both sides of every issue most of the time, and he's slippery like any con man. But wow, for Trump, that's a big one. That is a big one. Want to hear your thoughts? Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Got lots to get to, lots to talk about. Right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and my day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads. But I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day. And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. And then the Teamsters pushed a lot so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind, the union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case, and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
Before we close the program, we want to take a moment to thank our viewers and to share a little bit about why we do what we do. At The Rick Smith Show, we believe that media today is almost entirely controlled by corporate greed. So we have now 24-hour news channels. But instead of 24 hours of news, what we get is 1 hour repeated 24 times, and with tons of commercials creating obscene amounts of profits. Information once presented as a public service has now become a private commodity. So when lies make money, lies are what we get. We get a corporate-controlled rage machine feeding us anger and hate, trying to convince us that our problems are right, left, or red, blue, when they are and always have been up, down, the wealthiest 1% versus the rest of us. Our goal is to be an alternative to that machine, not as a news show with a fancy journalist out front, but as a talk show run by a union truck driver and a team of working-class heroes just like you. Everything we do, both what we get right and what we get wrong, is dedicated to advancing the interests of America's working families. No corporate ad buys, no think tanks, no focus groups, no talking points. We are media by working people for working people. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.